All right. Please make sure before you leave the room that I have these Bellwork pages in that cardboard box up there on the tray. All right, I'm going to put you guys into 4 groups. On page 21, I forgot to put the page number up here. Page 21, there are 4 problems. 1, 2, 3, 4. Each group is going to get 1 problem. We're going to work on these for right about 15-ish minutes. And then we're going to have each group present their equation and how they found it. Okay? So I'm going to have, I'm being real creative on groups today. If you're in the front row right here, you're going to have problem number 1. So go ahead and collect together. Your goal is to come up with the equation based on the information they gave you. So we want to write it in slope-intercept form, y equals mx plus b form. If you are here in the second row, and I am going to grab one person because there's 4 here and 6 here. Niles, I think I'm going to grab you to come up and work with the second row here. Is that okay? It's not a permanent seat change. It's just there's 4 here, 6 here, 5 in the front, 5 in the back. So I'm just trying to divide us evenly for today. Second row here, get together in a group. You guys are going to work on problem number 2, the college tuition problem. Those of you left in the third row, you guys are going to work on this third problem about mochi. And again, we want to write an equation based on the information, y equals mx plus b form. And then back row, you guys are going to be working on the Margaret problem. Margaret and the bar of soap. Doesn't that sound so interesting? If you need any assistance, if you guys get stuck, if you're not sure where to start especially, please let me know. You do want to work together because then you guys will be presenting this single equation and how you found it, how you came up with it as a group here, starting right about-ish 9:30. Just a little bit after 9:30 is when we're going to start those presentations. Okay? So get together as a group. I'm looking forward to listening in on some good conversations. So, for those of you that came today, your homework assignment is literally just typing in these 4 equations into Canvas. So your homework tonight, you basically just get rewarded for being here, paying attention, and copying stuff down and listening to the reasoning of your peers. You are welcome. Plus, I know last night's homework was pretty lengthy. Now, that one did have the opportunity for some extra credit in it, and I want to give you guys more time. Even though it said it was due this morning, I'm not going to count off if you turn it in late. Yes, ma'am? Yep. I do not close my homework until the end of the semester. Technically speaking, it's going to close Friday the 13th of May. Dun, 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 Friday the 13th. That is when all the homework assignments will lock. There's an unlimited number of attempts on all the assignments, and I don't take off points for it being late. This class is about learning and understanding the mathematics. If it takes you a hot minute to understand it so that you can demonstrate that to me, but you get it, your grade should reflect that. So I'm going to give you the opportunity to show me that. And I'm not going to penalize you for learning at a different rate than your peers. Plus, with everything going on right now, with people isolating, with people being sick, with family stuff going on, there's so much going on, I do not want to be one more cause of an enormous amount of stress in your life. So the assignments are still going to be coming. I can't necessarily change that we're going to have some homework assignments, but at the very least, I can take away the enormous pressure of my grades dropping and there's nothing I can do about it, and now I'm super stressed, and you just kind of crumble. Okay? All right, are you guys ready to do these presentations? Yes? No? Okay, so groups 2, 3, and 4. You should pay attention to group number 1 because this is one of the questions on the homework. So writing down this equation. So group number 1, tell me what your equation is.
C equals 125x plus 1190.
There's only one thing I'm going to change. You said X, which I totally agree with because that's our independent variable. They used T, and then you said it was plus what?
$11.99.
$11.99. What does the 125 represent?
The amount of cost per topping.
Cost per topping. And what does the $11.99 represent?
The base cost of the pizza.
Base cost of the pizza. So at most pizza joints, that would be a cheese pizza, right? Because they're not just going to like hand you crust and sauce. Like crust, sauce, and cheese, that's our base pizza. And then you add toppings on top of that for $1.25 each. How did you figure that out?
We knew the ending cost for both the pizzas. One was $15.74 and the other one was $14.49. And then there's between $15.74 and $15.49. It's $1.25 difference. So we subbed that in for M. I had two other equations, but we subbed that in for M. And then did I explain the whole thing?
Mm-hmm.
Oh. Sub that in for M. So I had 15.74 equals 125 times 3 plus 2. And then we had 14.49 equals 125 times 2 plus B. And then I solved that.
And that's how you found your base price?
Yes.
Okay, so there's only one thing that I kind of want to clarify, and you didn't do anything wrong here at all. But the reason that you could get away with just using that difference between the two to find your base price is because the difference between your toppings was only one. So here we had toppings 1, that was 3 toppings. Down here was 2 toppings, and the difference between these two was 1. That's important because if the difference between the number of toppings is more than that, then you would have to divide by however much the toppings differed by to figure out the per or the for each. Awesome sauce. Does anybody have any questions for group number 1?
So when we found out that one topping is $1.25.
All right. Let's go to group number 2. Group number 2. What is your equation?
Y equals 500x plus 10,250.
Y equals, you said 500x plus 10,250. Awesome. Tell me how you came up with your equation.
So we knew that it increased to 500 per year. So per year is the x, and then 500 is the number, and then the y-intercept would have been 10,250 because that's how much you started with.
Yeah, this is the starting amount, at least when she started at the school, right? It's not the starting tuition of all time, but as far as Wilma is concerned, this was the starting tuition. Group 2, I think you got it easier than group 1. This is also the reason why we're cost sharing on the homework, right? Group number 3, I'm sorry, you guys went down a member.
We got x equals negative 395 plus 60.
Yes, I like it. So I'm going to leave this up for just a second. Are you guys okay if I switch to the next screen? Okay. You said you got x equals
Negative 395 plus 390 plus 60L.
plus 60L. I'm using an uppercase L for that because I hate the lowercase L's. Looks like a 1. So if I ever have to use a lowercase L, I always make it cursive so that at least that way it's a loop. And I never confuse it with my 1s then. Tell me, group 3, how did you come up with your equation?
She spent 395
There we go. Spent at the beginning, so it's got to be a negative because they didn't make that money. They didn't gain that money. They lost that money. And then the 60, this is gaining $60 for each lawn. So the 60 would be a positive because they get that. The 395 would be a negative. Depending on, because I honestly don't remember in Canvas whether it requires you to put the 60 next to the L in first. But just remember that the 395 is a negative, the 60 is a positive, wherever you put it in that equation. All right, last group, group 4. Yours was probably the hardest, but you guys did a great job talking through that. So talk to me about what your final equation was.
It was S equals 120.25 minus 5.75 feet.
How in the world did you come up with those numbers? I don't see those numbers anywhere in this problem. Had to find them all. So explain to me how you guys found those numbers.
First, I subtracted 103 minus 80 because after 3 days of usage, you had 103 grams left of soap, and after 4 more days left, you had 80. So then you subtracted those two and divided by 3. That's how many days are in between.
So that's 7 days total. So you said you divided by 4?
Yeah.
Divided by 4, because that's how many days had passed. And you got what from doing that?
5.75.
5.75. So why did you make it a negative?
Because we're using soap.
Using soap. We're using it, so we're losing it. It's got to be a negative. How did you find that 120.25?
There are 3 days before, like the initial 3 days is how you got the 103. So in order to find the initial, like, soap before it started being used in the first place, is multiplying 5.75 by 3 and then adding it on to 103.
5.75 times 3. What did you get when you multiplied 5.75 times 3? I think it's what?
17.25.
17.25. This was soap used in first 3 days. And so you would do 103 plus 17.25.
That's the initial.
120.25 would be the initial. Fantastic. Like I said, your homework tonight is just to fill in these 4 equations. Yeah, please remember the loose paper, cardboard box. Take your books with you, please. They're not super heavy, so I don't feel too bad.